She had a doctorate from Cornell. She wrote a law that the United Nations adopted. She spent 2 decades fighting for the rights of female prisoners across the globe. She was being groomed to become the first queen regnant in the history of Thailand, a nation where the throne had been passed exclusively from father to son for nearly 250 years. And she gave up the possibility of marriage, of children, of a private life, all to preserve her eligibility for a crown that her father's scandals had made almost impossible for anyone else to wear. Then, on a quiet afternoon in December 2022, while training her dogs in a national park, Princess Bajrakitiyabha collapsed. She never woke up. For 3.5 years, she lay in a hospital bed, while a nation of 70 million held its breath. In June 2026, the breath ran out, and the last hope of the Thai royal dynasty died with her, the woman who was never allowed to live. To understand what Thailand lost, you have to understand what Princess Bajrakitiyabha sacrificed long before the collapse. Because the woman who was supposed to save the dynasty spent her entire adult life giving up the things that most people consider the foundation of a meaningful existence: love, family, personal freedom, in service to a throne that demanded everything and promised nothing in return. Born in 1978, she was the eldest daughter of King Rama X and his first wife, Princess Samsuwali. Her bloodline was impeccable, the purest connection to the throne available, born from the only marriage the king had entered that carried the full endorsement of the palace establishment. But impeccable bloodline in the Thai royal family is not a guarantee of anything. It is a starting position on a chessboard where the pieces are moved by scandal, illness, exile, and the volatile temperament of a king who has cycled through multiple marriages and left a trail of discarded consorts, exiled sons, and stripped titles behind him. As each potential male heir was systematically eliminated from the succession, for brothers exiled to America after their mother's devastating affair scandal, stripped of every title and right, banished to build lives as commoners on the other side of the planet, the field narrowed to a point. The only recognized son from the king's third marriage carried persistent questions about his health and readiness that the palace never publicly addressed. One by one, every male path to the throne was blocked, compromised, or erased. And Bajrakitiyabha, the eldest daughter from the first and most legitimate marriage, became not just a candidate, but the only candidate who combined bloodline, credentials, public respect, and institutional backing. Preparing her for the throne was not just a family decision. It was a constitutional revolution conducted in silence, because in Thai royal culture, even acknowledging that the succession was uncertain was dangerous enough to land a journalist in prison. And it came at a price that no legislation could quantify. To maintain her eligibility under traditional succession norms, Bajrakitiyabha never married. She had no children. She devoted herself entirely to her public duties, her legal career, and her humanitarian work, channeling every ounce of the energy that might have gone into building a family, into building a legacy that would justify the unprecedented step of crowning a queen. She cared for her mother. She represented the palace at state functions. She embodied the kind of selfless royal duty that fairy tales promise and reality rarely delivers. The woman who was supposed to inherit the most powerful position in the kingdom was never allowed to build a life of her own. The crown consumed everything before it ever touched her head. She gave up marriage, children, and a private life to preserve her right to a throne that had never been held by a woman. Is that sacrifice duty or tragedy disguised as honor? Tell me in the comments. The doctorate, the prison, and the law. But Bajrakitiyabha was not just a princess waiting for a crown. She was a scholar, a lawyer, and a humanitarian whose work changed lives far beyond the palace walls and far beyond the borders of Thailand. She earned a doctorate in law from Cornell University in New York, one of the most demanding legal programs in the world, an Ivy League institution where a doctorate degree requires years of original research, rigorous academic examination, peer review, and the kind of intellectual stamina that privilege alone cannot manufacture. She did not attend Cornell as a ceremonial student, collecting a vanity degree to hang on a palace wall. She did the work. She sat in seminars with students who had no idea what her bloodline meant in a country 10,000 kilometers away. She wrote the papers. She defended her committee that judged her on merit, not on title. And she graduated with a credential that would have opened doors in any law firm, any government ministry, any international organization on the planet princess or not, crown or not, dynasty or not. But the door she chose to walk through led to the darkest rooms in Thai society, the women's prisons. In 2001, she made her first visit to a female detention facility in Thailand, and what she found behind those walls changed the trajectory of her entire life. Overcrowded cells where women slept shoulder to shoulder on concrete floors, mothers separated from infant children who were being raised by relatives who could barely afford to feed them. Women serving years-long sentences for minor drug offenses, a first-time possession charge, a small-scale sale driven by poverty languishing in conditions designed for violent criminals, pregnant inmates with no access to prenatal care, delivering babies in facilities without proper medical equipment. A system that had decided these women did not matter because society had decided that people who make mistakes forfeit the right to be treated as human beings. Bajrakitiyabha decided they mattered. In 2006, she launched Project Kamlang Jai, an initiative aimed at improving conditions for female prisoners, providing vocational training, psychological support, and pathways to reintegration after release. The project expanded beyond Thailand, drawing international attention and support. And in 2010, her advocacy culminated in a landmark achievement that placed a Thai princess at the center of global criminal justice reform. The United Nations adopted the Bangkok Rules, a set of international guidelines for the treatment of female prisoners. The rules were named after the city where they were drafted, but everyone in the room knew they were named after the woman who made them possible. A princess who could have spent her days attending galas and cutting ribbons instead spent them inside prison walls, looking into the eyes of women the world had discarded, and building a legal framework to bring them back, the day the dogs were running. And then, without any warning, without a diagnosis, without a medical history that suggested vulnerability, without a single sign that anything was wrong, the woman who had given everything to the throne was taken from it by a microscopic organism that no amount of royal wealth could defeat. On the 14th of December, 2022, Princess Bajrakitiyabha was at a national park near Nakhon Ratchasima, roughly 250 kilometers northeast of Bangkok, training her dogs. It was one of the few personal pleasures she allowed herself outside the relentless machinery of royal duties, state appearances, and foundation work. Picture the scene: a park in the Thai countryside, late afternoon light filtering through tropical canopy, the sound of dogs running across open ground, and a princess momentarily free from protocol, ceremony, and the crushing weight of Dynasty resting on her shoulders. She was healthy. She had shown no symptoms. There was no warning. And then, without a stumble, without a cry for help, without any indication that the ground beneath her was about to disappear, she collapsed. Her body hit the earth, in a place where the air smelled like grass and freedom. And the woman who had given up every personal freedom for the crown was suddenly fighting for the most basic, one of all, the right to keep breathing. Medical teams were on site within minutes. She was airlifted to a military hospital in Bangkok. The initial diagnosis was catastrophic: a severe mycoplasma infection, a bacterial pathogen that in rare cases can trigger acute myocarditis, an inflammation of the heart muscle so violent that it can shut down cardiac function without warning. The infection had attacked her heart with a speed and ferocity that caught her medical team completely off guard. By the time she reached the hospital, the damage was done. Her heart had been compromised. Her brain had been deprived of oxygen. She was placed on life support, and she did not wake up. The cruelty of the timing was almost unbearable. A woman who had spent 20 years building a humanitarian legacy, who had sacrificed marriage and motherhood for the throne, who carried the hopes of 70 million people on her shoulders every time she appeared in public, brought down not by an assassin, not by a political rival, not by the treacherous currents of palace intrigue, but by a bacterial infection so rare that most physicians encounter it only in textbooks. The kingdom that had prepared her to rule could not protect her from a microorganism smaller than a grain of sand. A princess who wrote UN law and fought for prisoners' rights, brought down by a microscopic infection while training her dogs. Does this prove that no amount of power or wealth can protect you from fate? Tell me below. 3.5 years of silence. What followed was a vigil unlike anything in modern Thai history. 3.5 years of waiting, hoping, praying, and slowly, painfully, irreversibly accepting that the woman the nation had pinned its future on was not coming back. Princess Bajrakitiyabha lay in a hospital bed in a military medical facility in Bangkok, connected to machines that breathed for her, fed her through tubes, monitored the electrical activity in her brain that showed diminishing signs of recovery with each passing week. The palace released periodic statements carefully worded, deliberately vague, calibrated to acknowledge her condition without revealing the true extent of the neurological damage that the oxygen deprivation had caused. In a country where discussing the royal family's health openly can result in imprisonment of up to 15 years under the strict lèse majesté laws, the Thai public was left to read between lines that were barely drawn. They knew she was alive. They suspected from the silence, from the absence of photographs, from the way palace officials avoided eye contact when asked about her progress, that she would not recover, and they could not say either out loud. The grief was collective. The discussion was forbidden, and the silence grew heavier with every month that the machines kept breathing for a woman who could no longer breathe for herself. Inside the palace, the implications of her condition reshaped every calculation about the future. The succession plan that had been built around her name, the careful, decade-long project of positioning a woman for a throne that had never held one, was disintegrating in real time. With each month that passed without improvement, the probability of her ascending the throne dropped closer to zero. The dynasty was not just losing a princess, it was losing a strategy, and there was no backup plan. During those same years, another blow struck the royal family. If this story revealed a dynasty in danger that most of the world has never seen, hit subscribe and turn on notifications for Billionaire Story. Because next time, we are stepping inside another palace, where the walls are high, the secrets are deep, and the future is more fragile than the gold that covers the ceiling.